Cleopatra was born around 69 BCE. The Great Pyramid of Giza was already ancient by then. It was built around 2560 BC. That's roughly 2,500 years before she was ever born. Now here's the part that breaks your brain. The Apollo 11 moon landing happened in 1969. From Cleopatra to the moon landing is about 2,000 years, which means Cleopatra lived closer in time to the first humans walking on the moon than she did to the building of the Great Pyramid. Here's the problem with how we think about the past. We take everything that's old and file it into one blurry drawer in our heads labeled a long time ago. Pyramids, Romans, dinosaurs, castles, all just the past. We almost never scale the gaps between those eras, and that's exactly why the facts you're about to hear feel fake, even though they're nothing but dates. Let me walk you through them one at a time. Let's start with deep time, where the numbers get absurd. Take the dinosaurs. Stegosaurus, that spiky-backed plant eater, lived around 150 million years ago. Tyrannosaurus rex lived around 66 million years ago. That's a gap of about 84 million years between them. Now, T-Rex to us, also about 66 million years. So more time separated Stegosaurus from T-Rex than separates T-Rex from you right now watching this. Now go even further back. Sharks have been swimming in Earth's oceans for around 450 million years. Trees, actual trees with wood, didn't appear until roughly 350 to 390 million years ago, which means sharks are older than trees. There were sharks cruising the seas before a single tree had ever grown on land. And here's one that collapses the gap between prehistory and civilization. Woolly mammoths didn't all die out in some distant ice age. The last isolated population survived on Wrangel Island until around 2000 BCE. The Great Pyramid was finished around 2160 BCE, so the pyramids already stood, or completed, ancient, while woolly mammoths were still alive and walking the earth. Now let's flip it. Some things feel brand new, but are shockingly old. Take Nintendo, the makers of Mario and the Switch. Nintendo was founded in 1889 as a playing card company. That's before cars were common, before the Wright brothers flew. Nintendo is older than the light bulb being in most homes. Universities are even sneakier. Teaching began at the University of Oxford as far back as 1096. The Aztec Empire wasn't founded until 1428. So Oxford was educating students for more than 300 years before the Aztec Empire even existed. The medieval scholars of Oxford came first. And in America, Harvard University was founded in 1636. Calculus, as developed by Newton and Leibniz, came in the 1660s and 1670s, which means Harvard is older than calculus. There were Harvard graduates walking around before the math you dreaded in school had even been invented. Now the reverse, things that feel positively ancient but are startlingly recent. The guillotine, and when you picture it, you picture the French Revolution, powdered wigs, the 1790s, but France carried out its last execution by guillotine in 1977. That's the same year Star Wars premiered in theaters. While audiences watched lightsabers, France was still using a beheading machine. Here's a smaller one that lands just as hard. Sliced bread, the pre-sliced loaf, was first sold in 1928. The actress Betty White was born in 922, which means Betty White was older than sliced bread. The phrase, the greatest thing since sliced bread, existed her entire adult life, and she predated the sliced bread. These aren't tricks or exaggerations. Every single one is just two real dates sitting next to each other. The strangeness only comes from the fact that we never bothered to line them up. Once you do, the neat sequence in your head starts to fall apart. And then there are the people born in the same year who feel like they belong to completely different worlds. Anne Frank, the young diarist who died in the Holocaust, and Martin Luther King Jr., the civil rights leader, both were born in 929, the same year. If history had been just slightly different, they could have been contemporaries sharing a stage. And one more, Marilyn Monroe, the Hollywood icon who feels frozen in the glamorous 1950s, and Queen Elizabeth II, who reigned into the 2020s. Both were born in 1926, the same year. One became a symbol of a vanished golden age. The other was still on the throne within living memory. Same birth year. So here's the takeaway. History isn't a tidy sequence, one era politely handing off to the next. It's a compressed, overlapping mess. Mammoths and pyramids share a moment. Sharks outlast the appearance of trees. Oxford predates the Aztecs. The guillotine and Star Wars share a year. The only reason any of this feels impossible is that we file the whole past into one drawer and never look at the dates. When you finally do, history stops being a line and starts being a tangle.